Again, when you're very clear on your messaging, it attracts your ideal client and repels everyone else. That's what you want. You're not for everybody. Can we just embrace that? You're not for everyone. Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Sharice Williams Show, the only podcast created for the highly conscious, high-impact nurse turned entrepreneur looking to create, launch, and scale a wildly profitable holistic health consulting and coaching business from a place of ease and flow, while also optimizing your wellness and vitality naturally. Listen, if you did not catch the previous episode number 13, you missed it. I mean, let me just tell you, Dr. Orlandis drop some major nuggets, drop some major jewels around the secret language of blood work that most doctors miss. So be sure to go back and listen to that episode for sure. Okay, and attend the masterclass. How about that? The link is in the show notes for that particular episode. Now, for today's episode. Today, we're going to talk about the secrets to attracting your ideal client. And really, this is going to be a two-part podcast because I can't talk about the how to get clear on your messaging without first helping you to understand that there is a very crucial and critical step that you want to make sure that you're implementing before or in order for you to be able to be clear on your messaging. And that step is this. Conducting what we call in my world, ICIs. That stands for Ideal Client Interviews. Okay, Ideal Client Interviews. What is it, and why is this so important? So, Ideal Client Interviews are you having conversations with. I would say the magic number is 10. 10 of your ideal clients. Now, here's where sometimes, if you're new to the entrepreneurial space as a nurse, you can potentially get kind of stuck. And so it's very important that you identify who your ideal client is, first and foremost. Now, I know as nurses, nurse practitioners, clinicians in general, we have been trained, right, to take care of everybody. Male, female, old, young, it doesn't matter what the health issue is. We've been trained for that, right? What's important, I want you to write this down, is the riches is in the niches. The riches is in the niches, okay? So it's really important that you don't overgeneralize. So for instance, when you're showing up online, when you are attracting your ideal client, or when your goal is to attract your ideal client, the worst thing that you could do is say, like show up online saying, hey, everybody, I'm a nurse. I'm a nurse coach. I'm a holistic health coach, and I can help you with anything. Now, I know it wouldn't be as simple as that, but basically, when you're speaking in generalities, when you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. You can write that down, okay? When you're talking to everyone, you're talking to no one. So no one actually identifies you as a solution to their problem because you haven't actually even spoken to the problem, okay? And so what you want to do is you want to look at who is it that really lights your heart up to work with, okay? Because you get to select, again, the riches there are the niches. And so I'll give you an example. One of the huge demographics that I work with in my holistic health coaching business are people with type 2 diabetes. Okay, now, this is a very important distinction. When I am showing up online and the content that I am creating, I don't simply just say, hey, if you have type 2 diabetes, I'm your person. No, because it's not just a particular person with type 2 diabetes. It is a very specific person. It's someone who, yes, has type 2 diabetes, but who also has a desire to reverse or put that type 2 diabetes into remission, who has the desire to get off of meds, who has the desire to change their current state of health. Believe it or not, that's not everyone. I know, and I'm sure you know, there are tons of people that have type 2 diabetes, and they're absolutely fine with taking, whether it's metformin, taking whatever pharmaceutical, up to and including insulin, and they have really subscribed to that being their lot in life, right? They're going to ride it out the next 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60 years on managing the symptoms of their diabetes and managing their diabetes. Now, there's another segment right? There's another segment of the population who have really subscribed and embraced the idea of really being able to bring their body back into balance, to really being able to heal their body and to put their disease in remission, or as I like to say, reverse their diabetes, for instance, in this example. That's who you're talking to. But if you don't say that, again, it's as if you're talking to everyone and no one is really identifying you as the solution to their problem. Okay. And so once you are clear on who your ideal client avatar is, you'll hear me either say ideal client or ideal client avatar, same thing. Once you are clear on who that person or who they are, who that person is, now your next step is to go out and do, let's call it market research. Pick 10 people who fit that demographic. Now, this is very important for you to remember also. You're not going to just pick 10 people, again, with diabetes, right? 10 people that fit that demographic that you've identified is your ideal client. Otherwise, what you're going to experience is you're going to be bumping your head up against the wall. And you want to remember that you are not preaching to convert. This is important. You're not preaching to convert, meaning you're not trying to tell the masses, you can change your situation. You can reverse your diabetes naturally. And I'm using diabetes today for today's example, but this actually can really go for anything. And so you're not, let me show you how we can do this and we can do this. No. Because again, if they haven't subscribed to the idea, or if they have not embraced the reality of them being able to heal themselves, then you're fighting an uphill battle, and that's a long, hard way to build a business. You don't want to do that. You're preaching to the choir. We've all heard that term, preach to the choir. What does that mean? They already know. They already know that their body can heal. They already know that that's the route they want to go. They already know, maybe right now they're on meds, but they already know that this is a temporary thing. They already know they don't want to continue on meds. They know this. So it's not that you're having to convince them. They just need a guide. They just need someone who can help them on that journey. They don't have time to kind of distill all the information online. Write this down. People will pay you for your organized thoughts. They're looking for you. Okay? They're looking for you. And so those are the people who you're going to, and I promise you, they're already in your experience. They're probably maybe they're your cousins, or your brother or your sister or your uncle or someone in your experience. Okay. Maybe they're connected to, maybe they work with you. Maybe you're in a certain Facebook group. But bottom line is identify your ideal client and then talk to 10 of them. You're going to do your ICIs, ideal client interviews, because this is what's so important. When you don't do this, again, it's like you're shooting an arrow in the dark, right? You're shooting at a target, if you will, but you don't really even know what the target, like with the blindfold on, basically. Okay, you want to be laser focused in your approach. You want to be laser focused with your messaging. Okay, the way that you know that you're laser focused with your messaging is when people are literally raising their hand to work with you. Oh my gosh, how do you do that? What can I do? How do I work with you? Do you have a program? Do you have a group? Whatever? That's how you know that your messaging is spot on. It should never be a matter of you, and I see this a lot, that it should never be a problem of you not having enough clients, or you not knowing, okay, where am I going to find clients? When you're clear on your ideal client and you're clear on your messaging because you've taken the steps to do your ICIs, your ideal client interviews, you're clear because you're speaking their message, speaking their language, excuse me. And so for me, if you scroll through, every once in a while I'll post on my profile, and hopefully we're all connected on Facebook at this point, right? But when I post on my profile, I'll post things like, if you've been taking diabetes medication for over 5 years, you're doing it wrong. Why is that? Number one, it's very polarizing, right? But number two, it is a virtual hand raiser. People who resonate with that, they're like, wait, what? I don't have to? Wait a minute, what? They are raising their hand, like, how can I get off the meds? I've been on meds 10 years. I've been on meds 5 years. I've just started on meds and I don't even want to be on them, right? And so what your message, again, when you're very clear on your messaging, it attracts your ideal client and repels everyone else. That's what you want. You're not for everybody. Can we just embrace that? You're not for everyone. And I know some of you are gonna thinking, well, what about everyone? Trust me, there's someone else for them. You're not for everyone, but everyone has someone. Okay. So no one's left in the dark, no one's left behind. You are for a specific person, and everyone else, there's a specific person that is their passion. They will be there to assist that person. Okay. All right. And so when I say things like, when I post things that like, if you have been on diabetes medication or blood pressure medicine for that matter, for over 5 years, you're doing something wrong. Again, people are bombarding my inbox. They are responding to my post. They're liking it. They're loving it. They're asking questions. Okay. Very easy. So that's a very simple way to attract clients to you. Okay. So you're doing your ICI. Some of the questions that you're going to ask them, now these don't have to be long conversations. And in fact, they shouldn't be, because you're going to do 10 of them. I'm guessing you have a very full plate. Most of you are blending this in with either working at the bedside still, looking to transition out, or whatever the circumstances are. You have a very full plate. So these are not long conversations, but they are valuable, insanely valuable conversations. Okay. 10 minutes is really all you need. 10 to 15 minutes max. You squeeze them in as you can, but you're going to find 10 people that is your ideal client, and you're going to ask them specific questions. And I'm going to give you, if you're driving, you're not going to write this down, but you can come back and listen to it. Right. And so one of the questions you're going to ask them is, how long have you had X? For example, today we're going to use type 2 diabetes, right? You can insert anything, whatever lights your heart up. So how long have you been experiencing hormonal challenge? Or how long have you been experiencing mood swings? How long have you been experiencing excess belly fat? Maybe they're postmenopause, or whatever the case may be. You're going to ask them how long they've been experiencing that. Okay. It doesn't have to be a diagnosis per se. It could just be, how long have you been experiencing these problems, right? And then 2, how did you feel when they were diagnosed? What was their experience? You want to listen. This is where critical listening skills come into play. You want to listen, and you're going to take notes on everything that they say. Okay. How do they describe their experience? How do they describe what happened, how they were told, what led up to it, all the circumstances around it? Take notes. Critical listening skills. Okay. You're going to ask, what has been the impact of them having to take meds? Again, as a clinician, as a nurse, you probably know, oh, okay, this is probably happening. Let them tell you in their own words. It's going to be critical in part 2, which will be next week. This will be critical. Using their own words is absolutely critical. Okay. What has been the impact on your family, on your relationships, on your professionally? So different areas of their life. Again, you're asking them these questions. You're allowing them to answer, and you're listening. What have you tried before? What have you tried? Right. Again, I talked about what was their experience with their physician, or what was their overall experience as it relates to their diagnosis. And another critical question is, what's likely to happen if nothing changes? What's likely to happen if nothing changes with your situation? Again, you know the progression of diabetes. You know all the downstream effects, right? Or downstream implications of diabetes. Let them tell you. It's more impactful if they tell you in their own words. Okay. Now, you have gathered so much information. When I tell you, you have liquid gold. You have liquid gold, and it's not coming from your perspective, it's coming from their perspective. And so what I'm going to do in episode 2 is share with you what to now do with this liquid gold that you have just mined, and how to use that to attract your ideal client. But first things first, we're going to start there. Okay. All righty. And I will say this, if you're not sure, if you need clarity around how to identify your ideal client, what I'll do is I will drop a link in the show notes, and let's hop on the phone. Let's get you clear on this, because this is a really crucial and critical piece that's going to stop you from either creating your business or launching your business, and for sure scaling your business. Okay, so if you've been on the struggle bus, let's get some clarity around this. All right, so I'll drop my link in the show notes. So that way you can click on that. And definitely be sure to tune in to part 2 of how to attract your ideal client, because this information ties directly into that. Okay? All righty. As always, thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And I am so very grateful for you joining me today on this episode. I cannot wait to see you next week for part 2 of this episode, another transformative episode on The Sharice Williams Show. Bye for now.